Life is complicated. Right now we face so many challenges. Our perceived ability to control our world continues to slip through our fingers every day. But we are still designed for joy and for community, and we are agile enough to survive this. We're incredibly adaptive and creative. And though we sometimes use that adaptability and agility to further dig ourselves into a hole, we, for the most part, usually take 2 steps forward for every 1 step back. The long game is to our advantage. Have courage. Perhaps it would be worthwhile to consider that there is more to us than what we appear. The greater consciousness of humanity, meaning what the majority of us are thinking or praying about at any one given time, has been shown to play a part in how things unfold, including the ways which appear to be beyond our ability to intervene. Mysteriousness. Is consciousness at work in places we don't readily assume? Does our consciousness affect things? Things like the planet, perhaps. We're made of the exact same materials. Just how deeply does our divine spark reach? Just what might we be able to affect by all of us collectively directing our conscious thought toward the same idea? While several different faiths have a similar idea to this, in Christianity, Jesus is quoted as saying, "When 2 or more gather in my name, I am in the midst of them." It's an interesting statement, and I've heard a few interpretations for it, including its usage in prayerful conflict mediation or to align its references to the Old Testament law recommending 2 to 3 witnesses in conflict resolution. Interesting to me that both of these explanations involve the repairing of relationship. But there is perhaps a more esoteric thought to have about why it might be that if at least 2 or more gather in the spirit of the same idea, surprising things can occur. It may be for the same reason that it's good Old Testament advice to have 2 to 3 witnesses on hand when trying to resolve conflict. They're not just there to witness. They are there to add their consciousness to the proceedings. In 1993, a national group of trained meditators created an experiment with the intention to decrease the crime rate in Washington, D.C. They predicted they'd be able to reduce it by over 20% and prepared to catalog the data empirically. Before the project began, the chief of police said the only thing that would create a 20% drop in crime would be 20 inches of snow. The study occurred in summer of that year, but it didn't snow. The crime rate began to drop immediately after the project began and continued to steadily drop until the end of it. Crime went down 23.3% below the time series prediction for that period of the year. Look that experiment up for yourself. Was consciousness there? If so, what does it imply about our capacity to affect physical reality on the level of our consciousness? What did those meditators affect, and how? This points to an idea that when a group of people choose to direct their thoughts toward a particular idea or reality or solution, stuff happens. Just how much is our consciousness capable of doing? Let's then consider for a moment what consciousness itself might be. The primary definition of the word consciousness says only that it's about our awareness of our own surroundings. That we know a tree is over there and a house is over there, and we know we are standing in between them is, by definition, consciousness. The origins for the word conscious, though, are about special knowledge, really, holders of a secret, and also of an inner awareness of self, not just our surrounding environment. In the late 16th century, though, the word conscious came to mean an awareness of our own personal wrongdoing. In other words, self-conscious. It meant shame. But we can also use the word consciousness to describe the part of ourselves which is larger than our physical bodies, the part of ourselves which is plugged into the divine, the part which is permanent and eternal, and true to the contemporary definition, utterly aware of its surroundings and its place within the universe. The part which is aware and self-aware, but leaves the shame part to us humans. Shame is one of the many classrooms of the human experience. Its appropriateness lies in the overcoming of it. Back to consciousness, though. Does our consciousness have physics? In other words, are there rules to it? If we were smart enough, could we measure it? Could we invent a device to see consciousness? If we did, what would we conclude from empirically proving our consciousness exists? What might it change, and how might we more deliberately use consciousness as a tool of advancement? I believe that when two or more gather in the name of something greater than themselves, magic happens. I think when a certain saturation point of our individual minds gather together around a single thought, the thought itself can hear it. On the quantum physics level, it seems that when we gather, we have a greater capacity to collapse a waveform around a particular potential into the reality we ultimately wish to experience. I think I sounded very fancy there. But that's the quantum physics way of saying that our expectations are often realized on the quantum level, where our thought is provable to affect reality. You can look that up too. I think whatever it is that makes that happen, we could safely refer to as consciousness. It could be thought of as a magic wand of a sort, one that we're not particularly sure how it works, or just how much power it has, and for which we probably should get a little bit of education. But it's a power nonetheless, and one that we own for ourselves to do with as we wish. Make an assumption that how you feel and the thoughts you project manage to accomplish something beyond your understanding. Create communities of those who wish to conduct their thoughts in the same direction with you for mutual benefit. May your divine spark, along with the divine sparks of others, together light a firestorm of compassion and resolution for our world. Amen. Be at ease now. Take several slow, deep, cleansing breaths, exhaling out all negativity and stress with each. Allow the music to overwhelm you and its vibration blend into your bones. Allow yourself to sink comfortably into the spot you've chosen for these minutes of contemplation and reflection, and relax. This is a meditation of welcoming and recognition. There is a part of you which exists largely unacknowledged. It does not wait impatiently for you, though. It is at ease. It does not think you are wrong or slow. It accepts you exactly as you are. It is your consciousness, your higher self, your divine spark. This part of you has a physical representation in your literal brain. The pineal gland, located behind the middle of your forehead in the center of your brain, is historically said to be the seat of consciousness and of our divine spark. In literal terms, we know that the pineal gland is affected by light, and that it secretes melatonin, which helps us sleep, and serotonin, which helps us feel good. it also has an impact on human reproduction, the creation of life. So much occurs within this tiny gland, no bigger than the eraser on a pencil. So much has been attributed to this tiny organ for thousands of years. Behind the mysteries about which we can never know, we may use the pineal gland as a symbol of our non-physical consciousness. We can use it as a touchstone and a focal point of our desire to use that part of ourselves which is beyond the physical to positively impact the physical world. As you breathe, allow yourself to focus now on this small pine cone-shaped gland in the middle of your brain. So small it's hardly noticeable, yet we may choose to see it as a doorway to the enormous. Give yourself permission now to use this symbol as a pathway toward your own enhanced use of consciousness as a tool for your own personal ease and the ease of those around you. Grant yourself permission to believe that your thoughts have power beyond your hands or words, and that it is through this small spot which our greatest love shines most brightly. As you relax even deeper, breathing mindfully and exhaling thoughtfully, give thanks for your consciousness. Feel a sense of gratitude for the existence of your mind and all it is capable of achieving. Give thanks for the limitlessness of its abilities. Think of it as your friend, your companion through life. Give thanks for your companion. Turn your mind now toward the consciousness of all people, each a special part of one individual, while also an extension of the one great whole. Give thanks for this special reality. Breathe into its specialness. Allow that specialness to grow by your breath. Allow your consciousness to expand by your breath. Give thanks for your consciousness and how it forms the interdependent web of which we are all a part. Give thanks for the web. It is the pathway along which our consciousness is shared one to another. As you might, begin to notice pine cones in both nature and art. They have represented the pineal gland and its relationship to our divinity for thousands of years, in art as well as religion. They have even given the gland its name, pineal. Allow them to act as a symbol of your consciousness and ease. Give them permission to represent the doorway to all of your fellow humans and to the universe itself. Wear them as jewelry. Doodle little pine cones in the corners of your notes. Look for them. Make real for yourself this tiny opportunity to enhance your connection with all that is. Your acknowledgement and attention will make it even more effective in bringing resolution to our world. Namaste.